Have you ever felt like people smile at you while secretly waiting for you to fail? Have you ever wondered why your kindness is overlooked, why your honesty is treated like weakness, why your silence becomes permission for others to take advantage of you? How many times have you played by the rules, only to realize the game was rigged against you from the start? If these questions sting, you are not alone. And if you want more than empty inspiration, if you want the kind of knowledge that gives you an edge in the real world, make sure you subscribe now, because what you're about to discover may shift how you see every human interaction. Picture this: Florence, Italy, the late 16th century. The rooftops glow red beneath a fading sun. In the palace, a duke steps onto his balcony. He wears a gentle smile, the kind that makes his people believe he is merciful. Yet his advisors know better. That smile is a mask. Behind it lies calculation, the quiet readiness to strike when his survival demands it. The lesson is harsh, but unforgettable. The face you show the world is not always the truth. Those who cling to purity, who refuse to wear the mask, rarely last. The world doesn't reward unfiltered honesty, it rewards those wise enough to protect their intentions until the moment is right. This is the first mask of power. And until you learn why masks exist, you'll keep paying the silent price of being too real in a world built on appearances. Have you ever felt punished for being too kind? Have you ever noticed how the people who play nice often get overlooked while the ruthless climb past them? Have you ever wondered why your patience, your generosity, your willingness to forgive qualities everyone praises somehow become the very reasons you're ignored, excluded, or betrayed? If you've tasted that sting, you already know goodness without strategy can turn you into an easy target. And that's exactly why you should subscribe, because what we're building here isn't just motivation, it's a library of survival wisdom. Let me take you back 5 centuries. Imagine a young prince in Florence. He was adored by his people, gentle, soft-spoken, generous with his gifts. His court praised him as the beloved son of the city. Yet behind closed doors, the nobles mocked him. They whispered that his kindness made him predictable. His enemies, sensing weakness, plotted in the shadows. One night, while the prince slept soundly, trusting those around him, his closest allies switched sides. By dawn, he was stripped of his throne, exiled, forgotten, a lesson carved into history. The tragedy is simple. He mistook affection for loyalty, kindness for security. He wore no mask, he wielded no strategy, and he paid the price. Here's the bitter truth in this world: smiles are currency, but only when backed by strength. To survive, you must learn when to be kind and when to be cunning. How many times have you felt trapped because you tried to play fair while others bent the rules? How many times have you relied on brute effort, working harder, staying longer, yet someone with less talent but sharper instincts outmaneuvered you? How often have you thought, if I just keep grinding, people will notice, only to watch someone sneak ahead by strategy instead of sweat? If this feels too close to home, that's why you're here. And before we continue, hit subscribe, because the truths we explore aren't just history, they're survival tools for today. Centuries ago, Machiavelli studied the great rulers of his time and reached a brutal conclusion: to survive, a leader must learn to be both lion and fox. The lion represents strength, the ability to crush opposition openly. The fox represents cunning, the ability to avoid traps, to see what others miss. The problem: most people choose only one. Some rely solely on power, loud, forceful unbending, and burnout when confronted with smarter opponents. Others rely only on cleverness, scheming without courage, and collapse when real strength is required. The wisest leaders learn to be both feared for their claws, respected for their cunning. The lesson for you is this: effort alone is not enough. Kindness alone is not enough. Even intelligence alone is not enough. To thrive, you must sharpen your instincts and your strength. Because in a world full of predators, those who survive are not just strong or smart, they are both. How many times have you trusted someone's promise only to watch them break it the moment it no longer served them? How many times have you held on to your word even when it cost you, while others lied smoothly and walked away with everything? How often have you told yourself, "At least I did the right thing"? But deep down, you know that being right didn't protect you from being used. If that pain feels familiar, you're not alone. And before we go deeper, subscribe now, because what you'll learn here will protect you from repeating the same mistake again. History is full of broken promises. Machiavelli observed it in the courts of Florence and beyond. Rulers swear loyalty today, then betray tomorrow when the balance of power shifts. Not because they are evil by nature, but because survival demands flexibility. One prince swore eternal friendship to an ally. He sealed it with a handshake and a feast. But when war came and the alliance became a burden, he quietly switched sides. His people were shocked, his enemy enraged. Yet he survived while the ones who clung to their vows were crushed. The cruel truth. A promise is not a chain, it is a tool. Those who treat it as sacred in every circumstance often end up martyrs. Those who treat it as flexible, guided by wisdom and timing, endure. The lesson is not to abandon integrity, it's to recognize context. Keep your word when it strengthens you. Break it only when keeping it destroys you. Because in the theater of power, loyalty without strategy is not virtue, it is self-sabotage. How many times have you spoken the truth only to regret it the moment the words left your mouth? How many times have you revealed too much, your plans, your feelings, your weaknesses, only to watch someone use that information against you? How often have you filled the silence just to feel less awkward, and later realized your words cost you more than your silence ever would have? If that sting feels familiar, you're not alone. And if you want more than empty motivation, if you want the kind of wisdom that actually protects you, hit subscribe right now, because what you'll hear here will change the way you handle every conversation. Centuries ago, a Florentine courtier survived not by shouting the loudest, but by mastering silence. In a world of gossip, he rarely spoke, and when he did, every word was weighted like gold. Rivals mocked him as quiet, but kings leaned in when he finally opened his mouth. His silence made people wonder what he knew, what he was planning. In their uncertainty, he held power. The hard truth is, this people often talk themselves into weakness. They reveal too much too soon to the wrong audience. Silence, when chosen wisely, is not emptiness, it is leverage. The lesson, speak less, watch more. Use silence not as surrender, but as strategy. Because when your words become rare, they also become priceless. Have you ever felt like life itself is a performance? Have you ever walked into a meeting, a family dinner, or even a relationship and realized everyone was acting while you were the only one being real? How many times have you been punished for honesty while others who wore masks and played their roles were rewarded? If that feels uncomfortably familiar, you're not imagining it. The world is a stage. And if you want to stop being cast as the fool, subscribe now, because this channel will teach you how the script of power really works. Centuries ago in Florence, the royal court was not just a place of politics. It was theater. Every gesture, every smile, every silence carried meaning. Ministers bowed deeply, not because they respected the ruler, but because it was the role they were assigned to play. A rival might raise a toast with wine in his hand while sharpening a dagger in his heart. Those who treated the court like reality, who believed every word was genuine, were destroyed. Those who understood it was theater survived. They learned to perform, to deliver lines, to play their part, while keeping their true intentions hidden behind the curtain. The painful truth is this: if you insist on always being authentic in a world of actors, you risk becoming the entertainment, not the victor. The lesson: learn the script, master your role, and never forget the stage rewards those who can act, not just those who can feel. Have you ever bent over backward just to be liked, only to feel emptier afterward? How many times have you given more than you could afford, your time, your energy, your resources, just to earn someone's approval? And how often did you realize too late that the applause you worked so hard for vanished the moment you stopped performing? If that sounds too familiar, it's because so many of us are trained to confuse approval with power. And if you want to break free from that trap, subscribe now, because what you'll learn here will help you stop chasing validation and start building respect. Centuries ago, a ruler in Italy showered his subjects with gifts. Festivals, free bread, endless shows, all to keep the crowds cheering. For a while, he was adored. But behind the applause, his treasury drained. When enemies came knocking, there was no gold left to defend the city. The people who once sang his name abandoned him overnight. Their love was loud, but it was shallow. The painful truth is this applause feels good, but it doesn't last. Respect built on strength and wisdom endures. The lesson: don't measure your worth by claps or compliments. They can vanish in an instant. Instead, build competence, boundaries, and presence. Because applause is fleeting, but respect echoes long after the crowd goes silent. How many times have you given everything, your help, your money, your energy, only to realize people valued you less, not more? How many times did your generosity go unnoticed, or worse, become expected as if it were their right? And how often did you feel drained, wondering why the more you gave, the less respect you received? If you felt that sting, you already know giving without strategy often turns kindness into weakness. And if you're ready to stop being taken for granted, hit subscribe, because what we explore here will teach you how to transform generosity into power. Centuries ago, a powerful duke never gave recklessly. When he offered gold, it wasn't random, it was targeted. A soldier who needed loyalty, a merchant who could sway trade, a family whose influence could stabilize his throne. To outsiders, he looked generous. To insiders, his gifts were investments. Each coin bought leverage, each favor built chains of obligation. The lesson is harsh, but liberating generosity without calculation empties your pockets and your power. But generosity with purpose creates influence. The truth. It's not about being stingy or cold. It's about knowing when your gift builds strength and when it just feeds someone else's appetite. So stop giving blindly. Give with intention. Because when generosity is calculated, it doesn't just help others, it protects you too. How many times have you tried to be the nice one, only to watch people ignore your boundaries? How many times have you chosen to be loved instead of respected, and later realized love without respect is just manipulation in disguise? How often have you avoided conflict, hoping kindness would protect you, only to discover it made you invisible or worse, disposable? If that sounds painfully familiar, you're not imagining it. And if you want more than surface-level advice, subscribe now, because what we uncover here will show you why respect always outweighs popularity. In Renaissance, Italy, one ruler obsessed over being loved. He threw feasts, forgave insults, and tried to win hearts with endless charm. The people cheered, but behind the cheers they whispered. When rebellion came, those same crowds he worked so hard to please vanished. Love dissolved in the face of fear. His reign collapsed overnight. Meanwhile, another prince ruled differently. He was fair but firm, merciful but never weak. He didn't crave love, he demanded respect. And when danger struck, his people may not have adored him, but they obeyed him. His kingdom endured. The hard truth is, this being loved feels good, but it's unstable. Fear, when balanced with justice, creates order that survives storms. The lesson: stop sacrificing your dignity for affection. Respect will protect you when applause fades. Because in the theater of power, it's safer to be respected with a touch of fear than adored with no strength behind it. Have you ever felt like someone else was pulling the strings in your life? How many times have you thought you were making your own decisions, only to realize later that you were being steered, manipulated, or quietly controlled? How often have you wondered why some people who barely speak or show force still seem to shape every outcome in their favor while you do all the work and get none of the credit? If that sounds too real, you're not imagining it. And if you're tired of being the puppet instead of the master, subscribe now, because what we explore here will show you how influence really works. In Florence, the court was filled with loud men desperate to prove their power. They shouted, they threatened, they posed as lions. Yet behind them stood a quiet advisor, barely noticed, rarely mentioned. He gave no speeches, led no armies, but every major decision passed through his hand. He whispered in the right ear, delayed the wrong meeting, planted one idea here and another there. The rulers thought they commanded. In truth, he pulled the strings. The painful truth: visible power is overrated. The person in the spotlight often takes the arrows. The one in the shadows directs the play. The lesson: influence is strongest when it's invisible. Don't fight to be seen. Fight to be effective. Because when you master the puppet strings, you don't just survive the game of power, you design it. How many times have you worked for years to build trust, only to see it crack from one rumor? How many times have you felt the weight of being judged, not by your actions, but by whispers and perceptions you couldn't control? How often have you realized that a single mistake or even a lie told about you can outweigh 1,000 truths? If that pain cuts deep, you're not alone. And if you're ready to understand how to protect yourself in a world where image can destroy you faster than failure, hit subscribe, because what you'll learn here may change the way you carry yourself forever. Centuries ago, a powerful statesman in Florence rose quickly because of his reputation for honesty. Allies sought him, enemies feared him. But one night, a single scandal, an accusation whispered at court, was enough to fracture that image. It didn't matter that it wasn't true. His enemies spread the story and the perception became reality. Within weeks, his influence crumbled. Reputation is like a mirror, fragile, reflective, easily shattered. Once broken, it rarely returns to its original form. Machiavelli warned that wise leaders guard their image with the same ferocity as their throne. The lesson is painful, but practical. Your reputation often walks into the room before you do. Protect it, shape it, defend it. Because in the theater of power, perception isn't just part of the game, it is the game. How many times have you been told, just be consistent and success will come yet, no matter how steady you were? Others outpaced you. How many times have you felt predictable, stuck in routines that made you reliable but easy to exploit? How often have you realized that people praised your consistency not because it empowered you, but because it made you safe, controllable, and easy to read? If that feels too close to home, you're not imagining it. And if you're ready to stop being trapped by the very quality that others exploit, subscribe now, because what you'll discover here will teach you how to break free. In Renaissance Italy, a well-respected advisor was known for his unwavering consistency. Everyone knew how he would vote, speak, and react. For a time, this made him seem dependable. But when rivals plotted against him, they used his predictability to corner him. They knew exactly how he'd respond to provocation, and they engineered his downfall step by step. His virtue became his weakness. Machiavelli observed this pattern. Often, consistency without flexibility is a trap. It makes you dependable, but also vulnerable. The strongest leaders adapted like water, unpredictable yet effective, keeping allies and enemies guessing. The lesson: consistency is valuable, but rigidity is fatal. Be consistent in your goals, not in every move. Keep people uncertain, because unpredictability isn't chaos, it's protection. In the game of power, those who can adapt survive. Those who stay trapped in sameness eventually break. How many times have you worked hard only to realize you moved too soon and no one was ready to support you? How many times have you waited patiently hoping the right moment would appear, only to watch the opportunity slip through your fingers? How often have you felt like life punishes you not for lack of effort, but for not knowing when to strike? If that resonates, you already know timing can make or break you. And if you're tired of missing your moment, subscribe now, because what we uncover here will help you master the rhythm of power. Centuries ago, a Florentine general was known for boldness. His soldiers were fierce, his banners proud. But his downfall came from poor timing. He launched attacks too early, rushing into battles before supplies arrived. He waited too long in other moments, hesitating until enemies grew stronger. His courage wasn't enough. He lost because he misread the clock. Machiavelli warned, fortune favors those who can read the tempo of events. The wise leader knows when to wait in silence and when to move with speed. Too early and you waste strength. Too late and you lose everything. The lesson: power is not just about force or ideas, it's about rhythm. Align your moves with the moment, because in the dance of life, success doesn't go to the loudest or even the strongest, it goes to the one who moves in time with opportunity. How many times have you trusted someone's polished image only to later see their true face and feel betrayed? How many times have you tried to present your best self, but one slip, one moment of weakness made people judge you forever? How often have you wondered why a single mistake can erase years of effort while others seem to wear masks endlessly and get away with it. If that pain feels too real, you're not alone. And if you're ready to protect yourself in a world built on appearances, subscribe now, because here you'll learn how to play the game without losing yourself. In Renaissance courts, masks were everything. A ruler could be cruel behind closed doors, but as long as he smiled in public, he kept control. Yet there was always danger. The moment the mask slipped, the illusion shattered. One duke, drunk on arrogance, revealed his contempt for the very people who supported him. His sneer was caught in the open, and whispers spread like fire. Within months, rebellion broke out. He didn't fall because he was cruel. He fell because he let people see it. Machiavelli warned appearances guard power as much as armies do. When the mask falls, even the strongest throne can crumble. The lesson: control what others see. Protect your image as carefully as your crown, because once the mask slips, it rarely fits again. How many times have you felt torn between who you are in public and who you are in private? How many times have you swallowed your true thoughts just to keep the peace while others said whatever they wanted and walked away stronger? How often have you wondered if being the same everywhere is actually holding you back, while those with two faces seem to win every battle? If that cuts deep, it's because you've lived it. And if you're ready to stop being punished for honesty, subscribe now, because what we explore here will show you how influence really works. In Florence, a skilled diplomat lived with two faces. In public, he was modest, agreeable, the perfect servant of the state. Behind closed doors, he was sharp, calculating, and ruthless when needed. His peers called him insincere. But kings sought him out, and rivals feared him because he lasted through regimes that destroyed others. His secret wasn't betrayal, it was balance. He knew when to wear the face of humility and when to reveal the face of strength. Machiavelli observed the leaders who survive longest are those who master duality. One face for the world, one face for survival. The lesson: authenticity doesn't mean showing every side of yourself all the time. It means knowing which face serves your purpose in each moment. Because in a world of masks, the second face isn't weakness, it's wisdom. How many times have you lost battles not because of enemies, but because of your own doubt? How many times have you sabotaged yourself, revealing fear, insecurity, or hesitation, while others less talented than you projected confidence and walked away with the prize? How often have you felt like the biggest war isn't out there in the world, but inside your own mind? If that feels painfully true, you're not alone. And if you're ready to master the battlefield within, subscribe now, because what we uncover here will help you stop being ruled by fear and start ruling yourself. In Florence, there were rulers who hid behind armies and gold, but the strongest were those who mastered themselves. One leader never revealed panic even when betrayal surrounded him. He ate calmly, smiled calmly, gave orders calmly while his enemies second-guessed and fractured. His real weapon wasn't soldiers. It was self-control. He wore the ultimate mask, the ability to conceal fear and project strength even when the ground shook beneath him. Machiavelli knew the sovereign who cannot govern himself cannot govern others. The mask that matters most is not the one you wear for the crowd, it's the one you wear for your own doubts. The lesson: true power begins inside. Master your emotions, steady your face, choose your silence. Because once you rule yourself, no one else can ever truly rule you.